First, I'd just like to say that I want that guy who's doing the announcements to follow me around wherever I go. He's really awesome. So, like you know, I work at Lucky Magazine, which, if you're not familiar with it, it's a magazine from Condé Nast. And it's completely focused on shopping and style. And that's the only content we have, and we're very proud of that. And we've been doing some really interesting things on Foursquare for a very long time because Lucky since it is so focused on shopping, there's a lot of location-based data in every issue of the magazine and all the time on the site. So it really just makes sense for us. So I'm going to share some insight on Foursquare with you. Okay, so like I said, we've been on Foursquare for a very long time. We've worked with them strategically since they sort of really started picking up steam. And we have 109,000 followers, which is, I believe, it's the #1 fashion-focused following on Foursquare. And it's the #2 in the fashion and sort of luxury sphere, second only to Louis Vuitton US. And there's kind of 3 buckets we have of how our users can engage with us on Foursquare. So there's sort of the day-to-day, which is similar to tweets you would see from an editor or let's say like a brand handle like a Kate Spade or Tory Burch, where you can kind of follow our editors around New York as they're shopping and checking out the market. The second way you can interact with the magazine is through the Elite Shopper Badge, which we set up a very long time ago, and it's been very successful. It's very difficult to earn that badge, so to see the success we've had is really exciting, and we'll get into that later. And then, as I mentioned, there's always location-based content in the magazine, and those are our monthly shopping guides, which we pick a different city every single month, and I'll explain how we kind of get into that on Foursquare in a minute. So this editorial is meant to symbolize our editors walking around the city. So we really pride ourselves on the fact that our editors really know the market better than anyone else in terms of shopping. They know how to get the best bargains. They know that you can mix a high and a low and really create your own look. And our readers really trust that the information our editors are giving to them is the best information out there, and we really pride ourselves on that. So our fans can really follow us around on Foursquare as we check in, all over the city. Like we have, if one of our editors is out at the Brooklyn Flea, someone will check in there. If they're at, this is an example of a check-in on Foursquare at the store Court in Nolita. It's a really cool store if you haven't been. And anywhere else from like Barney's to Bergdorf. So it's really got a range, and it really helps us drive home the fact that we are shopping all the time. We're always out there. And I think that if we can, as long as we continue driving that fact home, people will continue to trust the brand in a way that they want to come to us for shopping information. The other thing that's really important that I'll mention about Foursquare is that we almost always share with an image. So if you're running a brand Foursquare or a magazine Foursquare, whatever, it's always important to have an image in because that'll bring the content higher to the top of Foursquare, and also it's just a lot more engaging to look at as opposed to somebody just saying, wow, there's a really cool shoe at Bergdorf Goodman. You can't see it. Next. So like I said, sharing the image is always important. And if there are any social media managers in this room, which I'm sure there are a few, I think you'll probably agree with me that Instagram can be a lifesaver at times. So all of our Foursquare check-ins that we do, that you're following the editors around, are done mostly, I would say about 90% through our Instagram. And if you're not familiar with Instagram, it's a great photo sharing tool on the iPhone where you can basically take a photo that could be terrible and then use these filters to make it actually really beautiful. So this is just one example of something we'll do. We share a lot of imagery from store windows. So when someone's walking around, if there's a particular window display that we think is really amazing. The Bergdorf Goodman windows are a perfect example. Or, a piece, in this case, this was a Stella McCartney resort look that, when they had their presentation, it was really well received. So, when we saw it on the street, on 14th Street in their window, we figured, people we would share this again because we loved it. So we take the picture, we add a filter, that's the first little slide there, and then using Instagram, we check in. I think somebody mentioned earlier that Instagram was built on Foursquare, So we use the Foursquare API inside Instagram to select Stella McCartney, and then we share it not only to Foursquare, but we'll post it on our Tumblr and our Twitter. So we're really using the Instagram and the Foursquare to spread it as far as we can. And that gets us interaction not only on Foursquare, but on all of our other platforms. And I can tell you this dress in particular was actually, we ended up posting it on Facebook as well. It was one of our most successful posts to date, actually. People like bows. So here we have a woman running to get her Elite Shopper badge. So badges are the gaming aspect of Foursquare. And I think if you've been on Foursquare, there's that moment where you check in somewhere and then suddenly you get another notification that you've gotten a badge. Some of the really common ones, there's the photo booth badge, the swarm badge, which you usually get if you check into a major airport. And then there's the Lucky Elite Shopper badge. And to get this, we've recently changed it so you have to visit 3 Lucky designated shops, but up until a few weeks ago, you had to visit 5 stores that Lucky had designated. And it's not like you check into any Club Monaco and any Gap and any H&M, any huge retailer. It's extremely, it's boutiques in Brooklyn, it's like a vintage shop in LA, or it's like a stationery store in Chicago. So it's really actually difficult to get this. And for about, we have 110,000 followers. We've had 25,000 people actually earn this badge, which is pretty incredible considering the amount of work that has to be done. When you're looking at how you can use this, obviously it's a great reward for the user following you. It's a nice little moment of surprise. This is something that you can actually take from the publishing side and say, okay, we have this badge, or we have something going on Foursquare. This is something you can turn around to advertisers and say, all right, well, we have 25,000 people that have earned this badge. And they're shoppers because they go to stores, and the only way to get it is to physically be in the location at that time. So if you're working with an advertiser and you have something that can actually drive traffic to doors, that's something that you could say, all right, well, they bring in this badge and they get XYZ when they come to your shop. And I think a lot of people in publishing understand that one of the main goals for a lot of brands is to drive foot traffic to brick and mortar locations, in addition to e-commerce, because you have to sell in all your different channels. And this is really the most exciting way that Lucky uses Foursquare, and it's the way that makes the most sense for us. So, here on the left, we have our New York City shopping guide. It was in, I believe, our December issue with Jessica Simpson. It was a great issue. And basically, we have the city guide printed in the magazine. And then the city guide also exists on luckymag.com, and then we load it into Foursquare. So what's really great about this is in the magazine, there's a call out to join us on Foursquare and on the site. So we're bringing people from the actual print into the web and then into social. So you'll see on the left, that's the illustration that appears in the magazine. And then up here, more on the right, on the top, is a tip illustrated in Foursquare on the Foursquare website. So let's say you're checking in at a Starbucks that happens to be next to Billy Reed. When you check into that Starbucks and you're following Lucky on Foursquare, we're going to tell you, this is actually for Brooklyn Industries, that one of our favorite stores is right next to you. So this enables us to actually we're always at our reader's side. No matter where they are, we're on their phone, and we can follow them, and they can always get shopping information from us. We're like their best friend that they take shopping, and even if they're not there. So, in addition to the city guides, it enables us to do some really cool projects. So this is Sophie's Super Sights. It's based on the Super Adventures of Sophie, which is a new children's book that came out by Kelly Florio, and it kind of chronicles the life of a young girl growing up in Condé Nast. It's very focused on shopping. So there's, places she visits in the book, FAO Schwartz, Central Park, Maison La Durée. This exists as a tip list for us on Foursquare that you can actually follow and then complete the entire thing. Again, this is, in this instance, this is something that, we kind of wrote as a post for the Lucky website. But you could also turn this into something you could sell to potential advertisers as a tip list, or just a nice way to engage with your fans and followers. So recently, Foursquare has done something that's kind of a game changer for them, and I'll run through this as quick as I can because I don't have much time. A follow on Foursquare button and a save to Foursquare button. So the follow on Foursquare button is very simple. It's like the Open Graph like button and the tweet button that you'll see on millions of websites all over. It enables someone to follow Foursquare without ever actually leaving the page. So as opposed to going to their profile page and following them or following through their phone, it makes life much easier. But the really exciting thing they're doing is the Save to Foursquare button. So if you have location-based data on your site, like Lucky does, we have all of our shopping guides, you can actually add this button, have them save it to their Foursquare profile, and then using their new radar technology, when they actually walk by the venue that you've specified, they'll get a push notification, this is my phone and my dog, to actually go to the store that they read about on your website. So it really takes Foursquare to the next level, especially with mobile and with web and potentially with print. And that's it. Do we have time for questions? No, we don't. OK. Well, thank you very much.